It's about to get gayer. I don't know. Hello, and welcome to Saving People Queering Things, the supernatural podcast where
we watch Supernatural and we talk about it.
Today, we're recapping season 2 and handing out awards to characters from this season.
I am Abigail, one of your hosts. My pronouns are they, them. And today, my question for my co-hosts is this. If you had to pick one episode from season 2 to remove from the season, which episode would you remove? This season is really hard to pick, but I think I would have to go with episode 4, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. I'm sorry, Noah. I know this was an episode you were on, and I loved our discussion, but I think it's a weaker episode overall. I'm less compelled by it compared to other episodes. I think it's the one I'd remove if I had to.
That's so funny because I love that episode. I looked at that one on my list and I was like, definitely not that one.
Controversial opinions. The thing is, I looked at a bunch of others, but every other episode I liked more.
Okay, if I had to pick one to remove from this season, me, myself, Noah, who goes by he, him pronouns, I would pick Roadkill. Sadly, but surely, I think that's my weak link for this season. And that's not to say that any of them were bad. There were a lot of good episodes. That was just one I vibed with the least, I think.
Yeah, I really liked Roadkill on this rewatch, but I do agree that it's like a less crucial episode in terms of
it's very insular. Like you can remove it and nothing would change about the season, but it's still a good episode.
Yeah.
There are no like really, really awful episodes in this season, I think.
No, season 2 is very solid, which I guess is a good segue. I'm Elayna. My pronouns are they or she. And I think I would have to remove episode 2, Everyone Loves a Clown, which makes me sad because there's a lot that I like about it.
It's so many important characters.
I know, but yeah, they could have been introduced in other episodes, and it's not that I think it should be removed because of them, but also I'm Team Sam in that I think creepy clowns need to be abolished at every level. I don't like them.
Amen.
That's fair. It's not a very interesting monster. I only like that episode because we meet Ellen and Joe and Ash.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I was sitting here looking at it and I was like, that's the only part about it that I enjoy. Everything else, I'm just Now it's time for our final recap of season 2. Here is what you missed on the road so far. Because it is the end of the season, we wanted to do something a little more special for this. So what we're going to do is something we've never tried before, which is basically a tag team 30-second recap in which the three of us are each going to recap 10 seconds and hope that somehow, chaotically, we will manage to describe 22 episodes worth of content. After that, we are going to do one character's perspective summary from each of us. So we'll basically just each give you one line about each of the character arcs and how we would sum up those characters. So here we go. 30-second recap of season 2 in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so John is dead. He traded his life for Dean's, and they meet Ellen and Joe, and they start to try to figure out like what's happening with Sam's weird powers.
And so then Sam goes missing and it's a whole thing. And then they end up having to like figure out why he's having all these trippy powers. And they do a lot of like one-off hunts. It's really cool. And
FBI doesn't even matter. And so then the demon children all get narrowed down so that the yellow-eyed demon can get across to the gate to hell so he can release all the demons. And then you know what? He does it. And then John kills the demon.
We made it
John doesn't kill the demon. I gave John credit for that. What's up with that?
I was gonna say that. I was like, Elayna, hold your tongue.
I'm sorry. I was running out of time and I panicked.
You had 3 seconds to sum up the last 2 episodes, and a lot happens in the last 2 episodes.
That was absolute chaos and I adored it.
A well done series recap, season recap all around.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, let's do characters. So we're each going to take a character and we're going to give kind of a 1-second summary of their character arc. We've pre-chosen some characters. These are not necessarily all of the key characters in the season, but we thought it would be interesting to describe arcs of yeah, just kind of some particular characters that we chose. So Noah, do you want to start?
Of course, of course. Okay, I picked Ellen for this season. I think Ellen was one of the unsung heroes of this season. Not always present, but you could feel her there.
Always in our hearts.
Exactly. So this season, from her perspective, this old bitch ass John, his boys come back around, fuck up a whole lot about her life, mess with her daughter, get her whole bar blown up, kill her best friend Ash, and then let out all of the demons from hell. Oh, okay, they killed one, but they let out how many? These bitches. Okay.
Oh my God.
I had to mute myself the entire time you were doing that, Noah, because
top tier content just now.
like, man, this season really sucked for Ellen.
Ellen did not get dealt a good hand this season.
I also feel terrible because mine is literally like it's like six, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words is my summary of Dean.
Mine started
that's
as a
great.
sentence and it just started going.
We're gonna go right to you then, Elayna.
So my summary, as I was looking at this in the doc and was like, how can I sum up Dean's story? This sentence came into my head and then it made me cry a little. Dean's, I think, arc this whole season can be summed up by the sentence, I'm afraid of losing my brother.
Elayna, that's
Too personal?
go straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
We don't allow feelings here. Elayna, great take. Fantastic. It hurt.
Thank you. Abigail, what is your take?
So the character I'm chosen is Bobby. I had to choose between Bobby and Sam, and I thought that thinking about Bobby's perspective over this season would be more fun because we talked about Sam a lot all season.
We get so much good Bobby stuff this season too.
Yeah. So Bobby reconnects with the boys, walks them through losing their dad, walks them through several crucial hunts, dads them a whole lot. He just really just like slide, like after John's gone, Bobby just like slides into dad role and just like stays there this whole season.
It's like Bobby has entered the chat.
That sticks, right?
Yeah. Dad, yes, there's my summary. Dad Bobby has entered the chat. That's Bobby's season 2 arc.
Love it.
I adore that.
Bobby's such a wholesome character. Every interaction, specifically the finale. That's the scene that sticks out the most is when Sam and Dean show up and he immediately knows something's up with Sam. But so good. No.
It's so good. And we're going to keep seeing so many good moments from Bobby.
One of the all-time best characters in the show, in my opinion.
Jim Beaver, A+.
10 out of 10.
All around. Next, we are going to do season highs and lows. So favorite and least favorite moment from the season.
The high point of the season for me was Jensen and his acting abilities because he really got to display that specifically as the end of the season approached, but also in Night Shifter and Heart, Crotone a little bit. Like he really got to display a whole different side of Dean that they didn't really explore in the first season, outside of Faith, I guess. But Jensen really got to show that off, and I was very proud. I liked that. Low point of the season, they underused Sterling K. Brown. That's the one thing. He was in 2 episodes, and I checked his IMDb, and he's only in 4 total. So like, they definitely underused Sterling K. Brown. But okay, we'll just move past that.
Yeah, I forget that he's only in 4 episodes because
he has such a presence.
Yeah, they do underuse him, and well, yeah, you'll see Noah when we get to another episode with him. My least favorite moment from the season is actually in 203. So when they kill the vampire by like the really gruesome chainsaw, like cutting off the head with the table saw. I've always found that one like really gruesome. I don't like it. It's effective as a character moment, but I really, really find it unpleasant. It's my least favorite moment this season. My favorite moment this season is in What Is and What Should Never Be, the scene with Dean at John's grave and the conversation that he has there, because Jensen's acting is incredible. And I think it like it sums up a lot of what Dean's been wrestling with over the whole season. It's a really, really crucial character moment setting us up for the finale. And yeah, it's impeccably acted, impeccably written. The visual is really strong. It's my favorite moment from this season.
So fair. So fair. Great choices.
So my high would definitely be them killing Yellow Eyes. I think that it is just one of the best moments. It's a really good payoff to a very long and very complicated arc. And then my low, I think, would probably have to be of just least favorite moments is when in Night Shifter, I feel so bad for, what's his name? Ron? Is it Ron?
Oh, Ronnie. We're going to talk about him later.
Yeah, he's so precious, and he didn't deserve what happened to him. And I just think it's really unfortunate what happened to his character. But it's like really well done, but it makes me sad every single time.
Gets you right in the gizzles.
What's a gizzle?
I was gonna say giblets, and then I was gonna like say gizzard, and then both of those just combined, and it was not good. I'm sorry. They both muted and went away from the screen. I think they're mad that I said gizzles.
No, I'm just laughing a lot, and I didn't want to mess up the audio.
Well, those were some pretty good highs, some pretty sad lows, but you know what time it is now. It's award time. Here is how this is going to work. We're going to give a category. We will each suggest an option. If two or more of us give the same option, then it's no contest. That person wins, unless the other person can make it. Like if there's two of us that go for the same one, the other person has a chance to make an argument for their character. But if no one is convinced, 2-1, majority rules. But we'll go down the list. We'll make our suggestions. We'll pick them. And if you guys, the listeners, don't like our suggestions, comments in and we'll ignore it and move on. But comments in. So
tell us we're wrong, and tell us why we're wrong.
I won't care. The other two.
Okay now. Okay.
Sorry. Well, then, starting us off, we'll do our best one-off character, which is a character that's only been in one episode this season, specifically, we'll say. They can appear in a later on episode, but one episode this season.
I'll go first on this one because I feel I had to nominate Madison for this. She's such a good character, and just the way that she has like a really huge impact, I think, on Sam and on the season, even though she's only in it for, a single episode.
It's hard to argue with that. But I am going to. I'm going to propose someone else. I have a real soft spot for Ronald. He was a very unique sort of character, and he was this kind of one of our early examples of a victim character, or a civilian character really connecting with Dean. Yeah, a bystander really connecting with Dean in a very specific kind of way, and I really love that.
Yeah, Ronald was my suggestion too, and I loved him, connected to him in a different way because he's someone that's relatable in as that he's someone who doesn't have access to the supernatural and knows that it's all a fact, but he believes because he picks up on these signs and these little conspiracy theories, and everyone's done conspiracy theory deep dives at one point in their life.
Mm-hmm.
He was great, and I really loved how Dean connected to him, even though Sam blew him off. He really stuck out to me.
Y'all make really good cases, so I think Ronald may be the winner for this one-off character.
Okay, Ronald, best one-off character. It's okay. I'm sure we'll come back to Madison.
Oh yeah,
we'll make plenty of compromises.
What's funny is there's a category coming up where I nominated Ronald, and I feel like y'all are gonna say Madison for that one, so it's kind of funny.
Hey, you know what? This is what happened last season too. Is we ended up awarding, I think, things to every character that we ultimately wanted to award something to.
Mm-hmm.
We found a way.
That's good.
That brings us to our next category, which is best female character. There are a lot of great women in this season. despite the fact that it only passes the Bechdel test a couple of times, and despite the fact that we don't get enough time with any of these women, there are still some really great women. So nominations.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear my nomination is Ellen because she went through the shit this season. Ellen went hard. Joe was also great. Don't get me wrong. Joe's great. I loved her episode with the boys, but Ellen.
Listen, I'm Team Ellen as well. I have no notes on that presentation from Noah.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm going with the same. Ellen is fantastic, and like Noah, like you said in your season, from Ellen's perspective, she actually plays a pretty big role and has a lot of impact throughout the whole season, and her life gets really transformed by the events of this season. So
she goes through a lot,
loses her whole bar,
and her best friend,
and she's the one that says to the Winchesters, like pretty early on in the season, says like, this is not only about you and your family, this is about all of us. Like, we are all invested in this, let us help. And that is huge.
I feel like Ellen is the first real, like, significant character we get that starts to form like this found family kind of bond that the show ends up leaning into, and which becomes a huge part of it. And just Ellen and Joe and Ash and Bobby, who all come in. I mean, Bobby, yes, is at the end of season 1, but we really get him fleshed out this season. I just think that she provides this really great motherly presence that the show is lacking because Mary is lost so early on. So yeah, winner is Ellen for that one.
Unsurprisingly, honestly.
Our next category is going to be funniest character. Really, I feel like there's a lot of great contenders for this one, so I'm curious to hear who y'all have.
Okay. Now see, if I'm going off of the funniest character, that's going to be the person that made me laugh the most this season. And I mean, Dean, he's cracking those jokes, and it's just little one-offs. A lot of them are dad jokes, and
Dean is the king of one-liners.
And he's consistent. He's consistently funny this whole season.
He's good. He's got the comedy. Mm-hmm.
My pick for this category is Andy, because I forgot how funny his character is. And he's so funny. He's only in three episodes. He's in the finale, and then he's in his earlier episode. But he is just living his life with his funny little van and his funny little powers. And the scene where he steals the car from Dean is
gold.
So hilarious. I mean, it's a scene where they both get to be really funny, but that's my vote.
I'm going to be honest. I had another vote down, but I really enjoyed your case for Andy. So I think I might actually have to become Team Andy for this one, because he's such a dork. He's so great. Yeah. It's like the point you said about how he does, like, he has these really powerful powers and he uses it for just dumb stuff, and I appreciate that.
Especially he only has 3 episodes and he makes that much of an impact on the comedy. So yeah,
honestly, his death I find it so sad, because he had managed to kind of escape the tragedy of being one of the special children until the finale. It makes me really sad. I wish we had gotten to see more of him. Like, him and Dean got along super well. Him and Sam had a really interesting connection. It's sad, but he is the funniest. So Andy win.
Moving into our next category, scariest character / monster. Now, does anybody have one? Elayna, what do you have down?
I have a very specific one down for this, and I have a case. So shuffles note cards. I think the scariest monster of this season is by far John Winchester. I think that just the way he looms over the season and the tension that he creates with not only sacrificing himself for Dean, but with what he leaves Dean with, his whole "you have to kill Sam or if you can't save him," that is, I think, one of the most pivotal moments of the whole season. And it's a moment that ripples throughout the whole rest of the season in this way that's just really intense, and it's a huge source of the tension throughout the season. So I feel like he really, even though he's not technically speaking a monster, I don't think there's anybody that has more of a frightening impact on this season than John.
I'd absolutely have to agree. They stepped up the special effects. There were some monsters that were better, but the psychological impact he has.
John, like you said, he looms very large in this whole season, despite only being in 1 episode. And his actions at the beginning of the season set both boys on this like trajectory that's quite scary. He's the spark for a lot of that. I think that we definitely can give this one to John. That makes 2 seasons in a row he's received a very unflattering award.
That tracks.
As he should. That's the only thing that he's good for.
Now, I will clarify, that's not to say anything bad about Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan is delightful.
Love Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Impressive portrayal of a really shitty character.
Yeah.
Character.
John Winchester is who we're ragging on.
Yes. That is a very good caveat and very necessary because I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's wonderful.
It's actually a nod in their favor if they win an award for playing a terrible character. It's because they played it very believably.
Our next category is Best Older Character, and this encompasses any of the characters we've come across that are ages 45 and up. Who would y'all nominate for that? Because I have very strong feelings about this, but I think they're going to be reciprocated by y'all as well.
This one goes to Bobby, because we've already given Ellen an award, and I love Ellen. Bobby.
Okay, well, okay, wait, Tiny.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Oh no, plot twist.
I think Tiny's got this one. He's the oldest character I think we've seen in the show. The one that's named, at least.
I mean, it's unclear of like, we don't know exactly, but you're right. He's like one of the oldest characters we've really spent time on.
He's got gray hair, and he's like, I love Tiny so much. I love Tiny. I think he was underrated this season. I also found out a really cool fun fact about Tiny. Did you guys know that after Folsom Prison Blues, Jared and Jensen hired him on as their bodyguard up until at least season 10?
No, really?
Yeah, straight up.
That's
so the
incredible.
actor was just an actor, like didn't have any huge credits, I don't think. And then
I never knew that was like, I knew that they had a bodyguard, but I didn't realize that was
Tiny.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes my heart swell.
That's so cool.
Honestly, for that alone, I want to give this award to Tiny.
Right?
I will vote for Tiny for this award. I will rescind my Bobby vote because I can come back to Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby.
That's
sorry,
all right. Bobby is going to continue to be a G in every season.
We love
that
Bobby.
We see him in,
we love
so.
Bobby. He will be awarded.
Tiny will never come back.
Sadly, tragically.
R.I.P. Tiny. But
yeah, best older character goes to Tiny. Moving from, a favorite to who is our most unlikable character this season?
Yellow Eyes can suck it.
Yellow Eyes was a little punk.
That's my biggest argument I have is just he's the worst.
True.
Meg possesses Sam and tries to assault Joe.
You know what? You're not wrong, and I'm not going to argue it.
I honestly could go either way on this one. I feel like they both deserve it. Meg is interesting to watch. I think Yellow Eyes makes me feel more like gross to watch. So based on that feeling,
I would also submit Brad or McG from Hollywood Babylon. Both of those producers that were like so shitty, all the women everywhere.
I feel like they definitely get honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, they should at least be mentioned here in the most unlikable characters. They were just nasty, unpleasant to watch for sure. I agree that Meg was worse, but
I mean, and Yellow Eyes is also very unlikable. So
yeah, because he does have his actor does a great job at establishing a creepy presence with just his expressions and body language.
Yeah,
he really does. But I have to agree that Meg. Anybody that hurts Joe.
Amen. We're Ellen Kin this episode.
Yeah, we really are. This is the thing is I'm like, the Meg's storyline. Meg's a super interesting character every time Meg appears in the show. It's really, really interesting. But especially like I found in both seasons, the way she interacts with other characters always makes me really uncomfortable.
Completely sexually based.
In really assaulty ways.
Yeah, I don't understand why she has to be like that. It's really annoying.
It was their early characterization of demons, and it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see it unfold and see if it always stays that way, because a lot of the demons have been that way at this point, with the exception of Yellow Eyes, who's gross in an entirely different way.
Moving on to character with the most opportunity to change, most potential to change their outcome this season or change their standing in their life.
It might be the really obvious answer here, but it's obvious for a reason. Sam is at the center of this season is the question of whether or not Sam will go dark side. And even at the end of the season, that's still kind of question mark, because, you know, when he finally does kill Jake at the end of the season and the demon says to Dean, says, you know, how are you sure that, you know, what you brought back was 100% Sam? There's this kind of question mark around Sam's identity. And I think that is why I would posit him here.
Fair.
I think I'd actually have to agree with that one. I didn't have a specific answer for this one. It just was a really tough one. I think that's a really decent reasoning.
This one was hard to narrow down. I threw out Jake because I think he, in the course of his screen time, he had the gun in his hand to change everything, you know?
That's a very good point.
True, really
he could have changed. He could have stopped the door from getting open, but
yeah.
Okay, you know what? Based on that, I think that this one would be a fair one to give to Jake. You know, you've convinced me.
Because Sam has Dean right there with him, keeping him back. You know, he's not really going to change.
And you're right that ultimately the season ends up hinging on Jake's action.
It really does. It's wild that he's only in it for as short of a time as he is, and yet he's so pivotal.
Yeah.
Honestly, the power that Aldous Hodge possesses.
Our next category is going to be character that we would most like to see back. And I'm really curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this one. For me, it's definitely Joe. I just want more Joe at all times.
Okay, well, character I'd most like to see back gotta be Gordon, the vampire hunter. Sterling K. Brown killed it both episodes. I know he's only back for 2 more, but that's at least 2 more. So he'll be back eventually, but I loved him. He was so suave, had such a presence every time he was on screen. I liked his dynamics with the boys.
I think what makes this one hard for me is that most of the characters I'd want to see back don't survive this season. I have like 4 characters. I have like 4 characters on my list that I really want back, but they can't because they're all not alive anymore.
I would like to know who they are, though.
They are Ash, Ronald, and Andy. Those would be my top 3. I think I'm gonna go with Joe, just because we don't get enough like amazing female characters with screen time, and Joe, we kind of left Joe's arc kind of hanging. You know, she had gone off hunting, and we haven't really seen her a whole lot since, other than briefly in Born Under a Bad Sign. And I want to see what's Joe up to. What else is she doing? Does she get to hunt with the boys again ever? And it's great. Also, connection to Ellen. You know, if we get Joe back, we most likely also get to see Ellen, which I'm always here for. The next award is going to be for the one-off character that we think is most likely to come back.
There was one character this season with a very intense setup, with a very intense buildup at the end of the episode that didn't pay off. So I would say the Trickster.
I think this one is unanimous, and we can't wait till we get to talk more about the Trickster.
Yeah, not even a question. Just because, I mean, it's the way they end the episode. Yeah, they set it up, they baited us, and we said yes.
Moving on to the next category, we've got most tragic character. I think this is a fun category.
I had to make a case for a character. There were many tragic characters of this season, as is common with Supernatural. But for me, I think the one that bummed me out the most was probably Ava, because she comes into this as just a very innocent person who, you know, is like, I'm having these weird visions. I don't know what's going on. And to see how she ends up and that she gets corrupted by yellow eyes and then dies is just, it gets me. And I wish that she had been able to have nice things.
Yeah, it's so hard to argue. I saw Noah just like wrote a character name and then erased it. I'm gonna like call him on and be like, that was good. You were gonna make probably a solid argument for that.
I typed out Sam originally, but that's too obvious. He comes back to life. He's fine.
He does. It's true. It's tragic, but it ends okay for him. I waffled between like 2, so I'm just gonna say them both. The first one is Madison, because her whole arc is about, you know, her not being able to control
Madison absolutely needs to be a runner-up in this category.
She's at least a runner-up if she's not the winner of this category. And then my other nomination is Ash, because he also gets kind of caught up in this. He doesn't even barely get a storyline of his own. He saves their butt a couple of times. He gives them crucial research, and then he like dies in a fire.
Off screen.
In a fire. We never get to properly like say goodbye to Ash. And I fell in love with Ash as a character this season.
Well, they wouldn't have been able to figure out anything with Yellow Eyes if it hadn't been for him.
But I can see maybe some of the others being a little more tragic from the point of view of their like story arcs. Ash's death is really tragic.
I feel like Ash is the most tragic but essential on this list. The rest of them are maybe a bit more tragic, but he's the most essential of those. I would nominate Andy because he's the funniest character. We've already seen that. And I think that he gets treated terribly this season.
Andy is the cinnamon roll of the season.
Yeah, he's the cinnamon roll of the season who was too sweet and didn't want to use his powers for evil. Just wanted to live his life and just be left alone. And that hurts that he doesn't get to. Because honestly, in the end, I think everyone's the winner. Because in the end...
Yeah, everyone's story is tragic.
Yeah.
Nobody has a nice time this season. No one.
Yeah, in terms of winning this category, I'm like, all of these characters win, but also by winning this category, you dramatically lose.
Yeah, you win, but it hurts.
Yeah.
So painful win for everyone.
Sorry.
Painful. So painful.
Our next category is character with most interesting arc. And to the surprise of no one, my nomination for this one would be Dean.
Seconded.
And set in stone.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Yeah, because he just, everything.
Between Heart, Folsom Prison Blues, and What Should Never Be, and the finale, just those 4 episodes alone.
And he was on an interesting arc this whole season. Like from the first episode, he almost dies and is saved by John. And you know, he has like 3 different arcs this season. He has a grief arc with John. He has a like brotherly parental arc with Sam, and he has a like I'm stuck in the hunting life arc.
Yeah. I think that what gets me the most and what made him stand out as just such an easy win for this category for me is just the way that his arc begins and ends with this kind of death thing, because he starts off the season where, you know, we don't know if he's going to live or die. He's, you know, ends up having his father sacrifice himself to keep him alive. And then he ends the season making the same exact kind of deal that his father made to save him, to save his brother. And so it's a beautifully executed arc, even though it's depressing as hell. And I just love him. So
it makes perfect sense if you say, hey, we started the season where he got saved by his father, and then we ended it where he saves his brother instead using the same deal. On paper, that looks like, yeah, obviously they make it there, but they do it so beautifully throughout the whole season.
It's very nuanced.
It isn't that obvious.
Yeah, it ends up being like it's got this narrative symmetry without being super predictable from the beginning.
Yes.
And I think that's why it's like such a satisfying season in terms of the wrap up, because it keeps all of its like all the promises they kind of make early on in the season and things they hint at, they follow through with by the finale.
Yeah, if I were to look at, and even just in general, the series as a whole, having seen it, I feel like season 2 has probably one of the best, if not the best, executed arc. Not just for Dean, but for Sam and Dean together. It sets you up with something and you get the payoff for that at the end of the season. And the build to it is phenomenal.
Honestly.
Agreed.
10 out of 10. Well done. 9 out of 10.
Our next award is going to be for the saddest death in this season. My vote for this is going to be Madison. I think that one like just sucker punches me every time. I find that episode really hard to watch, honestly.
Every time. Okay.
Same.
When I watched that episode, I was halfway through it when I had to like stop and do whatever I was doing. So I stopped about halfway through. And then later on that day when I went to work, I was on break for 30
Oh,
minutes.
no.
And I was just sitting there, and I had like 18 minutes left on the episode. And I, having watched the whole rest of season 2, was like, yeah, it's fine. I'll just, the rest of them have been whatever. It's no biggie.
Oh no.
I watched the end of that episode on my break and was like, I'll be fine. Credits roll, pop, like I'm fine.
That
fine, guys.
moment, can we
Wow.
You have to go back to work after that?
Oh my God, it was terrible.
Can we add like a bonus award for best acting moment of the season, and it goes to Jensen's twitch when he hears the gunshot?
That the trio of them and that whole scene is
It's-
they're the way they play off each other is just
It's
phenomenal.
so good. It's so good.
For sure. I think Madison definitely gets
Yeah.
Yeah,
saddest.
I have no notes.
I mean,
Madison for sure.
I think if the season doesn't end, if we don't have the like Dean selling his soul for Sam, that is the only other potential nomination for this category, is that Sam's death. Because in terms of like in the moment, the first time I do remember the first time I saw it, not knowing what was coming, that being sort of a gut punch.
Yeah. It comes at you.
Yeah. But I think Madison ultimately, because we don't get the resurrection with Madison.
Yeah. Which hurts. That's
Noah, you're trying to fight on this next category.
I'm
see.
trying to fight. So moving forward into the fighting category, who is the best hunter of this season? And let's clarify, when we say best hunter, we mean exhibited the best hunting ability and skills, which includes knowledge, fighting ability, weapon, and research. Bobby didn't fight at all this season. You know who did and who took out both of the brothers? Gordon. He almost killed them.
Yeah, and you know who went to jail? Not Bobby.
Yeah, but you would argue that's not because of his lack of skill as a hunter. That's because he got played and teamed up on by Sam and Dean, who are both also objectively very good hunters.
They are great, but they're a duo.
But I would argue that the mark of a good hunter is also like discernment and like being understanding. And Bobby, the way that for me, it's what makes Bobby the best hunter would be Born Under a Bad Sign, because the fact that he susses out that Sam's not Sam so easily, and then 2, like, doesn't, even though he knows that Sam is responsible for the death of that other hunter, the fact that he doesn't sell out the boys is a huge thing, because he easily could, and it would be well within his rights to do so, because
that's less about him being a good hunter though, and more about him being a dad.
but I don't know.
I'm not actually really arguing the point about him being a good hunter. This is a really hard one.
Yeah, because I agree. Because I should say
these
this.
Are the two best
I
options.
agree with a lot of your assessment about Gordon. He's a very gifted hunter.
He's got skills.
He's very effective in the purely the like, I can track and kill supernatural beings. Like hunting boiled down to that. He is the best hunter in this season.
But as far as discernment goes, that whole scene where he's up on top of the rooftop and just decides to snipe at them, at Sam, I think, and Dean comes up to him or somebody. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
But
Dean
when
comes
Gordon's
up
on
and
the
stops
rooftop,
him.
Yeah, when Gordon's on the rooftop, that's like, that never happens in shows like this. They're like always like, we're gonna go fight up close, and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it from here. Love that.
That's a good point.
He's like, in terms of like a terrifying hunter, Gordon is terrifying, because you see him being incredibly well thought out in the way he
very
hunts,
methodical,
in the way he tracks. He doesn't do the thing that Sam and Dean do, where they like talk about hunts in broad daylight, where they do things that are like, you're like,
you're at a park with children.
Maybe this might not be the best plan. And they're great hunters, but yeah, Gordon is like, he doesn't slip up. He doesn't make mistakes.
My favorite is when they'll like walk out the door of someone's home, and then before they're even off the porch, they start talking about, oh yeah, you think that was a ghost? Like, guys.
They're still at the door listening. Do you know nothing?
I can still hear you.
I in a super, just because I love Bobby, want to give him this award, but it's hard to argue with some of the arguments you've made for Gordon.
Yeah, it was a solid case you presented there, Noah.
I'm sorry. When it comes down to it, if it's 2 against 1, you guys win. I won't fight that. I believe Bobby's the best hunter this season.
Can we find a way? Can we award something to Gordon?
Okay, we could make it a duos hunters, and we'll combine Bobby and Gordon against the boys. Who's better?
That doesn't make any sense.
That would never happen.
No, but I think that we maybe go.
Well, but Bobby also did win another category.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He won best older character.
No, Tiny did.
won.
Oh wait, no, that's right. He lost to Tiny.
I'm sorry. I fucked it up.
That's why I was like, Bobby has not won a category, and there's something wrong.
I've submitted Gordon for like 3. No, just 2. Okay, no, just
You
2.
have submitted Gordon for like 3. It's fair. Okay. My idea is that we have a research award.
Okay.
An award for research, because Bobby, based on Tall Tales and Born Under a Bad Sign, would win that.
But Ash.
Damn it.
Oh yeah, Ash would totally win that category.
We can't list a category that Bobby's better at everybody in. Father figure.
Best father figure of the season. Honestly,
John's.
But wait though, MVP? I know we've got Sam on here, but
I think it's going to be really hard to not.
I think it's going to be hard to argue against Sam.
I mean, I put Sam as well, so like it's not like I disagree.
We need a category for Bobby.
I'm okay with giving Bobby this category with parentheses. Second place, Gordon.
Gordon is a runner-up.
Yeah, Bobby wins it. Bobby wins it because of his ability to have nuance in his hunting that Gordon doesn't have.
Yeah, I agree.
Gordon takes the cake on purely his ability to track and hunt.
I think we can agree with that.
But Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby as an overall all-around hunter in terms of his skill and his ability to like suss out the nuance of a situation and his ability to work with other hunters.
Yeah, because Gordon does not do that well.
Gordon doesn't do that. That's true.
And Bobby does with multiple other hunters. Bobby.
That tracks. I'll give it to Bobby.
Honorable mention to Gordon.
I'm okay that it made y'all hesitate. You know, that's enough.
Yeah.
You made some good points.
And our final award for this season is going to be the MVP of the season. But I love that we are unanimously agreed on this one.
We are united that the most valuable person of season 2 of Supernatural is Noah.
Samuel Winchester. Full legal name. What's his middle name?
Neither of them have middle names that we know of.
For real?
Yeah, that's always bothered me, but it's a thing.
But they're both both of their first names are family names, which we find out later on. I won't say how we find that out, but we do find out.
Time travel.
Never mind.
No one knows already.
Okay. Hey. Sorry to poke holes, Elayna. His middle name is William.
What?
Yep.
And what's the source? What's the source material? Is it like one
Google.
of the like?
No.
It took 4 seconds.
No, Google's wrong.
Supernatural wiki.
Yeah, but where's the Supernatural wiki getting the source material?
Yeah, I need them to tell me an episode name and number because
Or is it one of those like John Winchester's journal things? Because that's like canon adjacent. Canon, depending on who you ask. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Listen, son, I've been here a while.
Some of the stuff in this Supernatural wiki, you're like, a new category that we're adding this season is for our LGBTQIA characters. So our best queer character. This is also our first queer character. Okay, this is our first canonically, explicitly stated queer character. Is going to be what I'm going to posit. I am not saying it is our first queer character because I'm like,
no,
we have
it
Dean.
Surely is not.
We have Dean.
Dean exists. Ash exists.
Sam exists. Meg exists. They're all gay.
That's the whole premise of our podcast. They're all gay.
But this season is unique in that it has an explicitly stated queer character in the character of Lily.
Who could also be an honorable mention for saddest death, if we're being honest.
And most tragic arc.
Yeah. Yeah, Lily gets honorable mentions in a few categories, but is definitely our best queer character.
I thought it was important that she get mentioned in these awards, because I wish we had gotten more time with her, and she is the first explicitly stated queer character.
And thank goodness we will get more of those going forward. But
so that was our awards show. Congratulations to all the winners.
Ta-da!
Woo! Congrats to all the winners and the nominees. Go home. Thank the Academy.
We love you all, except for the one of you that we don't. Looking at you, John.
So we have a couple more things today. We want to give you an update as to our episode mixtape. If you've been listening all season, we have been collecting songs that are reminiscent of the themes of this season every episode, and we have compiled those into a Spotify playlist. So that playlist will be available on our website, which will be linked in the description. And if you want to follow along with the songs we've chosen this season, it's been a wild ride. You can listen to that.
Such a lovely mix of songs. I cannot wait to play it. Spin it all day.
We want to say a huge thank you to you who have been listening to us this season, whether you've been listening since episode 1 or you have recently joined us. Making this show has been a huge delight for me, and connecting with other fans has been just a huge honor and pleasure. Thank you to anyone who has reached out, who has listened to our episode, who has commented on any of our social media. Thank you for engaging with us. We're so excited to go forward with you into our next season. And we would love to get more of our listeners involved in the show. So there's a few ways you can do that if you want to be involved. We have a Discord where we chat about the episodes and explore more of the themes that we are talking about week to week. We also have a practice of blessing characters every week, and we would love to hear your blessings for characters in the supernatural universe. If you want to share a blessing that you have for a character in an episode, whether that's a current episode that we're talking about or a later episode, feel free to write that blessing out and send it to us on social media, or record yourself giving that blessing. We would love to feature your voices on the show and your words about characters that have been meaningful to you. Additionally, if you have questions that you would like us to explore, or episode mixtape suggestions, songs you think are very fitting, please send those in as well. You can also send those in as a voicemail or as a message on any of our platforms or on our website. And finally, we are taking theme suggestions. We choose our themes based on what we think will provide really great discussions. But if you have an idea for a theme that you think will match really well with an episode, we would love to hear it. And you can reach out and share that with us.
Fantastic. That sounds like a great place to wrap it up for today. Thank you all so very much for joining us for season 2 of Saving People Queering Things. Officially, we're so excited to have you with us as we move forward into our next season, season 3. Make sure you're subscribed to us on anywhere you can get podcasts. We'd love to hear from you guys. Reach out. Our website, queeringthingspodcast.com.
And you can be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where we're at Queering Things Pod, and find us on Twitter at queering_things. You can also come chat with the host and fellow listeners about the episode over on our Discord server. Links to everything will be available on our website and in the show notes.
Be sure to ride along with us next week as we jump headfirst into the fight for Dean's life with season 3, episode 1, The Magnificent Seven, through the theme of family.
Thank you all for coming along for the ride, and we wish you a peaceful road until we meet again.